Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Dino. It's cold here in Niagara Falls, Ontario. It's like -4, the end of November, and my mind is on snowmobiling. So I want to make sure that my snowmobile trailer is fully functional before the snow really starts to fly. The first thing I want to do, I want to check the light package. To do that, I'm going to get my buddy to back up my truck, and we'll hook it up and test the lights. Okay, Willie, bring her back.
You got it, Tinkerman.
Look at these controls. Where's the stabilizer?
Now this is not really a hard process unless the person that's backing it up, Willie, doesn't know what they're doing. Willie, stop!
Hey, you look handsome. Thank you very much.
Well, it's nice and warm inside the shed, and that hot coffee just makes me feel great. Willie, thank you again for helping me back up my truck. But I think I have something here that's going to help us even more in the future.
Hey, Dino, that truck thing was kind of fun, but where's the keys to the DR650?
No, I think you've helped enough with the truck. The idea of you riding my bike is not going to happen, dude. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a light and electric brake testing box. And it's something that I built not so much for my trailer here. I only have my snowmobile trailer. But it's more to test things at work where I work and I tinker on things. The company that I work for has a number of trailers and about 7 or 8 wood chippers, all of which have lighting packages and all of which have electric brakes. It's sometimes challenging for me because all the tow vehicles might be out while I'm working on these trailers or chippers. This light box will allow me to, service the piece of equipment or the trailer, and part of that service will be to test the lighting system. So with this, I can test the running lights, the turn signal circuits, which also are your brake lights, right? And I most importantly can test the electric brake circuit with the turn of a switch. Now, the reason I do this is simply because if there's not a tow vehicle present, I have to wait till something comes back, I have to back it up to the truck. Sometimes it's not enough room to get the truck and the trailer into the building that I'm working on. This just makes a lot of sense. It's portable, and it's something I've wanted to build for quite a while. So today's video will really be about the generalities of building something like this. It's not going to be a true step-by-step that you might be used to with me here. I'm going to go over the componentry that I chose. But the reality is there's 100 different ways to build one of these. You can use multiple switches for each one of the circuits. You could just use a flat plug instead of what I'm using here. And you can power it in different ways. You could even use a 12-volt transformer to run this. For me, I chose to use just a battery. But why don't we take a step back in time, and I'll show you how I built this. A lot of it's going to be voiceover today, but yeah, we'll take a look at this and see how it goes. Okay, let's get started now. Let's first take a look at what we're going to use to build this light testing unit. Let's start here with the business end. This whole package here is the trailer plug. This is what you would normally find on the back of your vehicle, your truck or your SUV or your car. This one in particular is what's known as a 7, 4, and 5. It has the most common plug types that you're probably going to see on a domestic vehicle. It has under this lid a 7-pin RV style connector. These are used for your trailers, like your camper trailer or things like that quite often. And it includes usually a trailer brake connection, which is something I want to be able to test. It also has what's known as a 4 and 5 flat connector under this door here. This is what many people will know as a trailer connector. It's flat. This one has a ground stud and 4 positive outfeeds from the plug that you can either plug a 4-pin or a 5-pin flat into if you happen to have charging power on the 5th connector there.
I've only been in a 3-way plug.
Next, we need a way to direct the power through that plug. So we're going to use this 6-way rotary switch, which just basically I'm going to turn. It has an off position. You turn it to the different areas. We'll be able to run our running lights, our turn signals, and our electric brakes off of that switch independently.
He's using an analog rotary switch.
With anything electric, we are going to use a fuse panel. This one was relatively inexpensive. I think it was $16, and it came with about 30 fuses, all different varieties of fuses. It comes with a nice cover so it'll protect it, and you can label it if you want. So that'll be installed into the system.
Hey, what's that red switch?
A master power switch here. This is an aviation style power switch used to turn the unit on, and it is illuminated here on the end, which will be nice. I have some assorted wire here to put everything together. I also have, some things like grommets, some connectors, things like that we're going to use. And then all of that will be powered by a Milwaukee M12 battery using this battery power adapter that I'll wire into the whole system.
Lithium ion? I haven't seen that in 1,000 years, man.
And then finally, I'll use this 50 caliber steel ammunition can to use to house everything. So that's, roughly everything that's going to be in this thing. It should be a pretty good little build. This ammo can is a really nice base for this. It's got a nice gasket on it. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where I'm going to mount my battery. I decide where it's going to go, and then from the outside of the ammo can, I'm going to scratch all in the holes that I need to drill to mark it. I'll highlight these and then center punch them. And the next thing I'm going to do is just drill the holes from the outside going in. It's pretty simple. Once that's completed, I am then going to just mount that M12 adapter on the inside. You can see here it fits up really, really well. And I'm going to hook it onto a fuse holder here that I'll eventually put a 10 amp fuse into. I'll double check with the battery how it fits in there, and then I'll do the same thing with the fuse panel, laying it out and squaring it up on the outside of the ammo can, and then transferring over the hole mounting locations so that I can in turn drill these through the cabinet. Now I did the same thing here. I center punched and highlighted where the holes are so I avoid making many more mistakes than I normally do. And once I drill through there, I get the little vacuum out, and I'm going to vacuum the whole thing to make sure the shavings are contained. And I do this throughout the process. I'll mount this on the inside, and then while I have access, I'm going to hook the negative terminal up here with the help of a little circlip here, a crimp ring on the end, and I'll hook this up to the negative post side of the fuse panel down on the bottom. And I'll do this now just because it's easier to do than when all the rest of the components are in place. There, it's nice and tidy. Next, I'm going to mount my master switch, I'll use this step drill to drill through. They're really convenient to use when you're sneaking up on a hole size. And then I'll just again clean everything up with the vacuum and mount this on the inside facing out once I get everything cleaned up. Gently tighten these down so you don't crack that plastic housing, and everything seems to be working really well. So I will mount the negative side of the terminal from the fuse panel over to the, from the battery over to the fuse panel on the master side of the switch. I also take this opportunity to hook up the positive side before I shift gears and start measuring out for the trailer plug assembly itself. I use a square and I mark all the 4 corners as well as the center hole location before I double check it with the backing plate for the plug. Once I'm confident that I'm in the right spot, then I will center punch all the holes. If you don't center punch the holes here, you run the risk of skating your drill bit all over the place and getting inaccurate hole placement. Now I'm going to use my hole saw here to drill through. Of course, I didn't use a bimetal blade, and it was very, very difficult to get this thing to cut. You can see here I'm struggling quite a bit because I'm using the wrong type of hole saw. It's really, this is painful for me to watch, but eventually I wore my way through. You can see the sparks. This is not how hole saw is supposed to work, but I made it work anyway. Here's the plug all wired up. I have some connectors on the end, and I used color-coded wires on the plug assembly itself to make my wiring harness. And the way this works is power comes from the fuse panel over to the plug and then back to the ground through the white wire here. It's a pretty simple system, and then it goes over to the switch, which is routes the power around. Now to mount this switch, I have to actually take it apart. So I take off and mark the top of the switch plate here before I take the switch plate screws out, just so I can keep everything organized and know where the center lug is. And you can see there's an arrow on the inside here, just so you know this would be where 0 faces. I choose my location again, this time on the end of the ammo box, and I center it up using a tape measure. And again, I'm going to lay everything out using the base plate, or the face plate I should say, for the switch itself. I'll get it on here, and I do use a square to get this thing ultimately laid out. This seems like the best spot, and what I'll do is I'm going to start by drilling a pilot hole, and this is exactly what happens. I get the right type of hole saw and I snap off the drill bit. So I put another center bit in, and you can see this is the proper type of hole saw. It is a bimetal hole saw, and it goes through with no problem at all, leaving a nice clean hole. I put the switch back in, and then I wire it up. And the way this works is it bolts in using those 2 holes, and then the corresponding lugs on the switch. So it comes from the fuse panel over to the switch, and then these opposing lugs here are each leg of the switch. So it goes in one side and then it crosses over to the other, and that's the way this switch works. So as you rotate, it goes from off to running lights. The next step is turn signals, the next one is right turn, and finally electric brakes. It's pretty simple. And if you look on the other side, here is our 7, 4, and 5 plug, nicely located on the side. So why don't we get this thing out and we'll test it in the field. All right, so to use this device, I'm just going to set it on the trailer tongue here. And because I have a 4 flat plug, I'm going to use this bottom area here for my snowmobile trailer. I don't have electric brakes on this trailer. This just plugs in like so. We flip on the master switch, and I'm just going to turn it like this, and Willi's going to help us to test the lights. Now we're around the business end of the trailer here, and we're going to test them. If I was doing this by myself, I would simply turn the switch on, then I could walk around the trailer checking all the lights for all the circuits. But because we have help today, it's a little easier. Hey Willie, can you turn on the running lights, please?
Turning on now.
Perfect. We've got both of the low intensity lights working on the trailer. That's exactly what we want. And if we walk around the trailer, you'll see that all the LED button lights are also working. It works really good. Okay, let's test the left turn signal here. Now, it's not going to flash because I didn't put a flasher in. We're just testing to make sure that the high intensity turn and brake signal light works. Okay, Willie, turn on the left turn signal, please.
Okay.
Perfect. We have a nice bright left turn signal here. And remember, the high intensity circuit also is your brake circuit. So if the left turn's working, then the brake light's going to work as well, as long as your tow vehicle system is putting out the right signal. It's just going to work. Okay, let's test the last circuit on this particular trailer, which is the right turn signal over here. Let's take a look. Willie, give me the right turn signal.
It's on.
And as you can see, the right turn signal is also working. So all of the lighting system on this trailer is working properly, and I did not have to back up my truck to the trailer to test this. It just makes it convenient. I know it might seem a little overcomplicated, but if you're testing a lot of trailers like I do at work, this box makes life much easier for anybody who's doing this kind of work. Okay, that's it, Willie. You can turn them off. Well, I think we got this video done just in time. It is starting to get even colder today. I hope you enjoyed how to build a trailer light test box today and enjoy the content in general. What?
Dino, come on, man. We gotta get back to the ship. Red carpet gala's up, buddy.
Yes, Willie, we are done for the day and we are gonna get back to your ship to help fix it. Oh man, oh man, oh man. For those of you who really want to follow more about Willie and his adventures, go over to YouTube. I guess you're already on YouTube, and go to Willi456 Boys, and you can see his adventures and how I'm helping him to get his crew safe tinkering on their spaceship. So until then, I hope you have a great day. I hope that you have some fun tinkering in your shop. And until then, remember, tinker easy. I'll see you soon. Yes, I'm coming to get the box now, Willie. Just give me a second. Oh boy, you're pushy.